don't know about this, Billy. My neo-parents tell me it's dangerous to leave the settlement. Are you sure this is a good idea?
Don't be such a wuss, Janie. Like there's so many other things for a kid to do in 20xdx.
I guess you're right. I can't even do my favorite hobby of knowing what year it is anymore on account of it being Mega Man years now.
We just gotta walk over a few more blighted dunes and we should find an old shipping container.
Will the container have the current year written on it?
Maybe. But I hear the real cool part is a pair of old sickos who live inside. They say if you visit them, they'll tell you about guys.
Guys? What do you mean?
Guys, like from a story.
Aren't stories mostly about dust?
My neo-cousin Joshy told me that stories used to have pictures and sound and be about guys.
Wow. They could do that with dust?
It didn't used to have dust at all.
I'm confused. This doesn't make sense.
I don't really get it either, but I bet the old sickos will be able to explain.
Ah! There it is! The container!
Wow, it's real!
You didn't think it was?
My neo-cousin lies a lot, but I had to check this out for myself. Wow, I can't wait to hear about guys. Let's go!
I'm scared, Billy. What if the sickos are dangerous?
I swiped this brain mangler from Lord Bones' armory. We'll be okay.
Are those children out there? Come in, be not afraid. We sickos are too aged to do you harm even if we meant it.
Wow, you're real!
Yes, child, for at least one day more.
What's that clacking sound?
We were just playing Crokinole. It's a shitty wooden disc game from Canada.
What's Canada?
It was an old mining company. But enough of that. What brings a hardy pair of neo-children so far into the wasteland?
Well, Billy's cousin Joshy told us that, you two, that you could, tell us, about,
Can you tell us about guys?
Guys.
Now that's a name I haven't heard for a long time. A long, long time.
They are real?
Oh, very real. There is one guy who is Italian and feeds salami to little ghosts who live in his gun.
Wow.
Oh my God. It was so worth it, Billy. I never knew there could be a guy like that. This is the best day of my life!
Oh, children, we're not done.
There's more than one guy?
There's a guy whose fingertips are so good at gripping, he can tear little nuggets out of you when he hits you with karate.
This is the most entertained I've ever been!
There's a guy who reached his limit.
Oh, wow! Amazing! I could never have come up with something like that. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna cry. This is incredible. This makes dust look like shit.
Keep listening, young one.
He reached his limit, and then he yelled and turned yellow, and surpassed it.
What can I do to become you guys' disciple?
There's a second Italian man who can make a little airplane shoot out and go around.
There's a child from the dump who can make chainsaws come out because he's part dog.
There is a rubber sailor who loves his friends and to stretch.
I can't believe there could ever be so many guys. Where did you learn all this?
Back in the days before the event, there used to be things called comics, where slave laborers would be forced to draw pictures of guys going on little adventures.
Even when we were at our computer jobs, we would find small, elusive moments of joy by reading a wiki.
You are saying some insane shit right now, old man.
Wikis were programs on the computer that showed you guys and their various stats.
Computers? My neo-parents said computers were evil and we should only use them for shooting practice.
We could have used more people like your neo-parents many years ago.
Oh, those were the days. You can't imagine the bounty we had. I remember reading Don to Dan in the Delta Wave, right before the event.
Delta. When was Delta?
It was when everyone was into Columbo.
Ah, yes. Now Don to Don, that had some guys. There was a nerd child who would turn into a noodly man with a fucked mouth and a bayonetta grandma.
We're so glad we came, Sickos. Learning about guys has been the most meaningful experience I could ever imagine.
Who knew the past had such wonderful things?
Oh, hold up. I need to stop you right there. We're not saying this shit is good.
Hello everybody, welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom in Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe in Anime Sicko.
Joe, before we go any further, we must say the names of our patron givers of money. The $5 patrons who get the only reward. Well, you mentioned before that early release episodes are one of the rewards, but the only other real reward is that we say your name on the show. So now I'm going to start doing it. Oh, man. Oh, our first new patron has a truly very powerful screen name, to the point where, like, I feel more powerful knowing that this person, well, be clear, these people are our patrons. I want to thank Coralie, the trans lesbian socialist, and her 3 weed-smoking girlfriends.
Most people are just one.
Yeah.
This is a good pack. I like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving money to us. Now we feel hip.
Yeah.
You know, if Coralie, the trans lesbian socialist, and her 3 weed-smoking girlfriends think that we're good enough for a little bit of the cash, well, that just says it all, doesn't it? And that's not all, though, because we also have Gary Hayes. Gary, one person, unfortunate, but, you know, that's kind of the norm. Not everyone can be Coralie.
Yeah, we're kind of back to baseline on that one.
Yeah. But still, Gary, you're an excellent giver of money.
Thank you.
Every patron is a delight to us, including our next patron, who's going to be Christine. I also just love the easiness of the names. It's just really one way to say them. Christine. I know I got that one right.
Thank you, Christine.
And finally, our final new patron, it's got to be Calliope. That's an excellent name. Holy moly.
I'm not going to try to say it. It's fine.
Calliope.
Calliope.
Just say what I said. Whatever.
Calliope.
It's fine.
No, I have to learn words, but you got to put like the peanut butter on my mouth to make me say the right mouth sounds.
It's true, folks. But anyway, that's all of our new patrons. Everyone who gives us money is deeply beloved, and we thank you very much for your generosity. If you want to give us money, you can go to patreon.com/animesickos. But yeah, that's out of the way. No new patrons. That's all of them. I think it's time for Cog Talk. Cog Talk. Cog Talk. Joe, I heard you're back at the office. Is that true?
Your sources are correct, Tom. I'm back. It sucks ass. Like, I don't... everything I thought would be bad is bad. Like, no surprises. 2020, perfect sight on all that. I don't understand how I ever accepted people being on phone calls around me like all day. That was normal to me, and like now I can't even like get through reading because there's like 8 people on the phone around me, and I'm trying not to like be like, oh, it's so hard to work in here, but like Jesus, like I had a year and a half of that where the only like sounds were like of my own volition. And now it's just like chaos, like audio chaos.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things like you just said, Joe. Like exactly what you thought would suck sucks. It's like turns out that when you're asked to perform labor in a chaos hell machine where there's big noises and people yammering and yelling all the time, like that sucks. Who could have known? Like, Jesus Christ.
So I definitely am like objectively less productive.
Oh, of course.
Like, and that's the part of me that like wants to work hard. Like the part of me that hasn't been killed yet. I'm trying, man, but like it still wants to do a good job. It still happens. It just takes longer because of those things I mentioned. The other thing that like, it's not really like doesn't like directly affect like my ability to do my job, but like every surface is covered with like these stickers that say like nanotech self-cleaning technology.
You sent me a couple of pictures of these, and it's just like the fucking the towel dispenser in like the bathroom.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a 3M sticker on it.
It's so stupid.
So whenever I go to the bathroom, I have to see these and I think about them. And also the other thing about being back at the office is all the stuff we said when we complained about work bathrooms back before the event. That's still like true. I forgot about that. I forgot about the quiet dignity of always having access to your own toilet. So the bathrooms have like this white mage cleaning tape, and the thing is, it for sure doesn't work. There's like, no way it works. It says nano on it. It says nano.
1,000% sure that it's a fucking scam that does nothing. Probably makes germs grow even better.
I'm sure by the most distinct legal definition of the word, it is self-cleaning.
I mean, like, it's vertical. Like, the stickers are vertical. So, like, it would follow that gravity would make the germs fall off, Joe. So, in what way is it not self-cleaning?
It would be easier if there was none of that. If there was no changes. If the office was exactly as it was before. I find that would be, like, mentally easier for me, I think. Because, like, it just seems like there's, like, Band-Aids everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, the elevators have lots of stuff about how, like, it's, you know, triple HVAC, space, purified or whatever. All that is probably very true. But like, what happens when the guy next to me just breathes it into my head? Like,
yeah. The stupid stickers really blow my mind, because like I was under the impression that like in mid 2020 we all agreed that like turns out surface to surface contact isn't how it spreads. Like turns out that's not actually the most important thing. But still, so many fucking officers that are like, we're gonna be safe because we're spraying the table.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's like, oh no.
I wasn't licking the table.
Yeah, like that wasn't part of my experience before. This isn't changing anything, and it just is a emblem of how anemic and useless your stupid response is. Yeah, it's like an insult that this is to even have a like COVID response when you're being made to go to the real COVID response is don't go to the office.
Yes, that is true. Like, I shouldn't see any of this shit. I shouldn't know about the stickers. And I don't know. It feels very like, this is here just to soothe the hogs. Like, yes, like it has, you know, it's a big Temple Grandin move, is what it is. It's yes. Like, it's just to like placate us, to give us a sense that people are looking out for us. You just don't like think beyond like, you know, how the virus spreads or what the issue is, but just like be pleased because the stickers are different. They're new.
Yeah.
They say nano on them, which, hell yeah.
Nanos for small. Small like the virus. Yeah, I mean, Joe, at least, I mean, they're just talking about a lot of bad things. At least you've regained the contemplative recharge time of a commute. I keep reading about how it's a contemplative recharge time. That must really be doing you a lot of good.
One of their like commuting tips they gave us was just like move to an empty train car, which is hysterical because like there's a lot of people in the city, and we're all going the same way.
It's like, I don't know if you like him.
It might as well have been like, hey, to get to work, just clip through the floor.
Yeah. Yes. Turn on God mode. Go through the geometry. Yeah. None of the NPCs will talk to you because their line of sight does not penetrate the floor.
It's one of those things where like it feels bad to be a recipient of this information because like the message sender clearly thinks so little of me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what it means when you get a thing that says, we hear your worries about having to get on crowded public transit to get to the office. Here is the solution. I know that when you get on a crowded train car and there's a totally empty one right next to it, your immediate thought is going to be, no idea how to fix this problem. Let me tell you the solution.
Okay, and also, if there's a crowded train and one of them is empty, there is something so fucked up in the empty one. That is bad survival advice.
Yeah, like there's a pile of turd that's so big that it like came to life and like talks now.
There's just a Pokemon battle happening in there. It's just happening. Yes.
It's a fucking nightmare. And Joe, I think all of which is to say, I think all of these are emblematic of a larger theme. And this is what we're so good at with Anime Sickos. We give you the funny riffs, and then turns out we had a larger theme all along, which is that this whole thing is a real big symptom of the manager brain disease, where you become a manager and you fucking lose your mind, which is whenever there's a problem, managers just go like, well, we acknowledged it, so now you have to shut up. Whether or not the problem is fixed is fucking irrelevant.
Yeah. We hear you, we see you, and aren't you so lucky to be heard? And also we gave you a solution that is impossible to do, but still, like, read it over.
Yeah. It's like, it's part of being a manager is that like you don't live in the world anymore and you can't conceive of circumstances. Everything is just like check boxes. Like if someone comes to you and says like, hello, I can't safely make it to the office because public transit is full of sneezing humans who are sneezing in my fucking face all the time, and I'm afraid of the virus which might make me die. What they hear is, hello, here is a new unchecked checkbox. And they go, oh boy, I will check the checkbox. And my check is that you should go to an empty car. And then the little hog goes, oink, oink, but I can't do that, sir. And it's just like, well, you're a fucking moron. Do you not see the check in the box? Like, it's right there. Like, I did it.
Yes. It's also how... I was about to say, is there a connection when there was a huge eviction thing that started again, and then like the lawyers are like, we're going to give free legal resources? It's like, oh, fuck. Is that the same thing?
I mean, kind of, and like where the problem is like, now I used to be able to live in a house, and now not, and now someone's just like, the way I will help you is that you can now choose to go into a, frankly, years-long legal battle that will end in your defeat, but you'll have to pay a little less money for your lawyer. And it's like, thanks, okay, fuck you.
Yeah, like better than nothing, absolutely. It's just, fuck.
It's like the whole AOC's big legislative victory is like, I have wrangled it so that there are tax credits for COVID-related funerals. And it's like, oh, fuck me.
That's really grim. It's a little... It's like a detail that you should read in an email on like a busted terminal in an early chapter of a video game that explains why everything's fucked up.
And it has sort of like a wry tone. It's like, isn't this sort of like darkly humorous that these politicians didn't seem to get it? They thought it was still business as usual. Clearly we can see that it's not because there's monsters all around. Ha 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 ha.
It's just, yeah.
This whole like, we acknowledged it, so shut up thing also is exactly what was happening with Tom McHenry's office, where the heat didn't work.
Right. They were pumping heat uselessly into wood and everyone was like, I'm very cold, right? Is that the issue?
Yeah, they fucking built all the file cabinets over the fence, so the heat. People would come to the business bosses and say, "Hello, I'm cold," and the business bosses would be like, "Ah, a new checkbox. I will check the checkbox by turning the heat on." And then they would be like, "Sir, I'm still cold," and well, that can't be.
They were just checking for the value of the temperature, like the little display said X. It doesn't matter that it was being pumped again into filing cabinets uselessly. It passes the test.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really just is like, is the value the correct number? Like, is this box marked true when it's supposed to be? And that's really the whole fucking Office thing, because, like, honestly, any reasonable person who thinks about it for even a fucking moment comes to the irrefutable conclusion that not only should all useless computer work be remote during the pandemic, and in fact forever, and it should have been forever, which sort of reveals that the entire back to office thing is simply because, like, well, I want to check that box. Like, I need that box to be checked. Like, any sort of rational analysis of the actual circumstances comes to a very different conclusion than what your job has come to. But as I say, if you're a fucking manager, circumstances are no longer real. Nothing can mitigate whether or not the box says true or false or not. There is no argument.
There's also another element here, which is I'm being compelled to basically spend $20 at lunch. This sucks. Like,
holy shit, yes. I had forgotten about that completely.
Yeah, like, I feel like I get roused from my morning cage and I have to get, like, prodded with electrical impulses to do a little economic activity that I would otherwise not do.
It's great. Like, yeah, holy shit. Like, I remember when I worked in the office, like, I would get, like, honestly sort of nervous about how much money I was spending on lunch. Because, like, every day for 5 days a week, I would be purchasing lunch in the loop, which is an insane thing to do. Especially because, like, the pickings around where I was were such that, like, either I'm going to eat junk food, which if I eat this, like, more than 2 times a week, I'm just going to, like, feel awful. Like, my body's going to feel like it's made of sludge. Either I do that, or I eat it sweet green and pay $15 fucking for a salad that's fine. And it's like, it makes me, like, I would think about, like, I'm spending, what, like $75 a week on salads I don't like?
Yeah, but you do them because it's like a tiny, really the only joy during the day, because you could say looking at your phone is a joy, but that never stops. So it really can't be that pleasurable. Like, really the only thing you have, like, in the office cog situation is your little lunch break. So of course you're going to, like, spend $15 for a salad because you also get a little walk.
Yeah. Fuck, the little walk was so good. But I take walks at home now. God, this office shit. Joe, I can't believe they're making you do this. Like, I want to, like, talk to them on your behalf. Like, my client will not come into the office.
I have power of attorney right now, and I think...
Like, there are so many... This is true. There are many people in my life who, like, I wish that was a socially acceptable thing to do, that I could, like, get power of attorney and, like, advocate for, like, talk to their manager and be like, you're treating them wrong. Because, like, and I know this from personal experience. It's so fucking hard to say that about yourself, to be like, you're treating me wrong. But, like, I would yell for an hour just listing off reasons why it's evil and wrong that they're making you come into work, and listing reasons why it's actually in their best interest to have you work remote. And it's like, every time you're posting, like, at the office, wanna die, I'm just like, I wish I could help.
You can tell the contours of my mental state, like, based on my timeline, because it's the days where I'm at the office, there's definitely a higher frequency of posts. Yeah. That's the other thing that kind of sucks, is it makes me want Twitter, because it's like, fuck, give me, like, a thing fast, like, give me something.
Mm-hmm. And most of the posts you make when you're not at the office, death comes up. Not really at all. At the office, it's like,
Sort of
death,
like
give me that. I'm horny for it.
He's the main character.
It's fucked. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode.
Tom, I heard you received an email, and I heard this because you sent me the email, and it made me sit down.
Yes, this is true, Joe. I received an email recently from a Chinese restaurant in Chicago. I've ordered food from there one time, multiple years ago. It was not that great. I ordered there because they kept marketing themselves in the community as like, we're not like your typical Chinese fast food stuff where it's just like the meat in the goopy sweet sauce. And every dish is just a variation of the goopy sweet sauce. This is real cooking, and I'm like, okay. So I ordered, and it was the meat in the goopy sweet sauce. So it's like,
they got you
about this. Yeah, but I forgot all about it. Put it out of my mind for years, and then I get an email from them, which well, I can't really describe it other than to read it to you.
Tom's gonna read it, but can we start? Can you read the first two sentences? Just like let people know what this opens with.
The first two sentences are, I know.
Go for it.
Before I get too much, I do want to say that the basic sort of premise of this email I agree with, and it's valid. But you'll hear as we go into it. I know. Creature of habit is hard to break. You're hungry. Phone out. Kung fu fingers move. Hoo-ha! Order sent. Your favorite Chinese, us, cooked and delivered to you. You're ooh-la-la happy. You didn't know. You just handed more than 30% commission from our revenue to a third-party ordering site by placing your order with them. Fudge! That hurts. Honestly, we do not know how long we can survive in business by operating with only 60-some% of our income. But now you can help by downloading our app with those kung fu fingers of yours. Did you just blink? You've already downloaded it. Wow, you're fast. By downloading and ordering from our app, you no longer need to pay any delivery fee, service fee, processing fee, facilitator fee, hidden fee, the fee of fee, and more fees. That's a lot of fees you've saved. Above all, you are saving your favorite Chinese, us, from extinction. And we shall fancy the word fudge no more. Ooh la la!
Can I drop the hammer?
Yeah, drop the hammer, Joe. What did I leave out when I read the text?
There's cavemen all over this shit. Okay, the cavemen are not. It's the text wrapping is all around the cavemen. It's so hard to read the words because it's not like text boxes. Like the words follow the contours of the caveman dragging the women. Which okay, so the top one. Top one, you got your classic caveman dragging a woman who's like, well, she doesn't love it. And then,
well, okay, when you consider what's happening is that she's being dragged by her fucking hair. She has a very sort of like this again expression, which I feel like is not quite appropriate for the level of trauma she's experiencing. She's like tapping her finger as though she's like mostly just impatient about the situation and not like really unhappy about the dragging.
Yeah. The second case is a lady dragging a himbo, basically, and he's got a thumbs up. But here's a cool fact. The lady also has a cell phone.
Yeah, and she's using the app. Like, you can see on the picture of the phone, like, a very small version of the restaurant's logo. These himbo and this lady are both also technically cavemen. Gotta make sure that that's clear.
And then on the bottom, this really rules. It's a skeleton T-Rex with a chef hat, and it's sautéing veggies.
Yeah, it's making a stir fry.
Yeah. again, like, they are placed randomly on the page and the text has to just deal with it.
It's not like when I first started to read it, I read it as I know, creature of habit is phone out, kung fu fingers move, favorite Chinese us, cooked and ooh la la happy.
And then the top right becomes a poem, hard to break, you're hungry, hoo-ha, order sent, you're delivered to you, you're...
Yeah, it's like, honestly, like one of the best emails I ever got. And honestly, it almost makes me want to order from them, and it may actually get me there. I also posted this to the Discord, and someone responded with a very cogent observation, which is like, this wording is very fucked, but like it's not ESL fucked. Like,
yes.
this is
Yes, that's the other thing. Is like when we started this, people were probably like, "Oh no, is it going to be English?" It's like, no, I don't know what this is. This is like SEO wrote it.
Yes. Holy shit! It's yes. Auto-generated by Google. Oh man.
Yeah, the two inputs were like conversational and cavemen.
Also, let's really focus, let's reflect on the fact here that there's one sentence, above all, you're saving your favorite Chinese, us, from extinction. That is the only reference, only even oblique reference to like prehistoric times.
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't read it as like a dinosaur name. This is like an Animal Crossing pun that I don't fucking get, and I read too fast, and I'm like, I don't care. That's what this is.
Oh my god! The first thing you see is a caveman.
No, it feels like the reveal of who has been talking the whole time. It is in fact the bone T-Rex.
Shit! Oh my god, Joe, you solved the puzzle.
We're the anime sickos, and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crimes way.
Tom, you are always complaining about how you have an English degree and you like don't see the appeal of poetry. Like you talk about how you don't get it and it like hurts you, and you let everyone know you got scammed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I see the appeal of it. It's just that like most of it sucks. Like the poetry lady on Twitter who got fired from her job at the poetry magazine was fired for truth.
Yeah. But like, and you do like this really annoying thing whenever you're like, bring me the thing that proves me I'm wrong.
Yeah, bring me a good poem, I'm always saying. Show me one.
Yeah. So anyway, for like your cultural enrichment, I have found a poem, and it's like good, and it's easy to understand, and I think like it'll be good. It's called "This Is Just to Say" by William Carlos Williams, and I'm going to read it to you now. Are you ready?
Isn't this guy like the plum pervert?
Jesus, man, no, grow up. Okay. I fucked the plums.
Never been horny. Never been horny. Don't tell the paper that I ever got horny.
Chicago Party Ant makes me feel like shit. Like it really does.
It's like, no joke, it's exactly like if Duchess Goldblatt got a fucking Netflix show, because it's the original fucking Twitter account was occupied the exact same space in my mind as Duchess Goldblatt, which is to say, this is a gimmick account where someone's pretending to be a lady, and the main joke of the account is not really very good, and all of its tweets are terrible.
And honestly, I actually thought like the original Twitter account would have been like, it would have been fine if it just existed as that. Like that's the thing. It's like it was perfectly fine. I laughed at stuff. It was good, but it couldn't. Like it had to jump to the next level of scale.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I've seen, and I think this is because it has a very Chicago-centric staff. It's a lot of people I sort of tangentially know, or people, you know, who I know are retweeting other people, all of whom are talking about how proud they are to have their first credits, or congratulating their friends on an incredible job that they've done for a Netflix original TV show. They just worked on a whole season of TV on like a real platform. Wow, isn't that incredible? And everyone has to speak with such uncritical boosterism because like my friend was part of something real. Like they made it. It's their big break. And I'm just like
that is both objectively true and like uh-oh.
Like we saw the trailer, folks. Like who's fooling who? Like there's no chance this is good.
I mean, even beyond our issue with like the source material, could have just stayed tweets. It also is in the style of everything now, where everything looks like American Dad.
Mm-hmm. And every joke is, what if someone was kind of a loud horn dog who drank a little too much? I'd be like, I probably wouldn't laugh. Is what if?
Yeah. Also, like, it's really hamming up all like the really stupid touristy shit that I hate, which is like this city is about like being like really like depressed for like 9 months of the year, and then like you just like really get into creature collectors, and then like you come out, and then you're social for like 4 months. Like that's what happens here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like funny. Like it sucks.
Yeah. And like all like the thing that I think that's Sarah McHenry, possibly Borko, Alex Borkowski in the boys chat mentioned when we were talking shit on this show was that like the main sort of promotional image is the party aunt and the studying nephew. They are on a stoop.
A Morty.
They're both Morty. The party aunt and Morty are sitting on a stoop. And they both have in their hands a piece of like Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza, which is like, oh man, that just says it all. Where it's just like, hey, like the thing, like the main thing, like the first thing that you think of. So that's our whole thing. That's all we got. You know how you have these huge pizzas that are like kind of like ridiculous and over the top, like knowingly so, and you get them like once a year, maybe. What if you ate them with your hand outside? It's like, well, you wouldn't do that. is what would happen. Fuck.
Can I tell you the worst deep dish experience I ever had?
Gimme.
Winnie and I were part of, I believe this was her cousin's bridal party, and like part of the event before was sailing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but like I went, it was not that large of a boat, and I'm not joking. They just had like a bunch of Illuminati's pizza just like below deck, and like I just like chowed down, and then like as soon as I was like I'm uncomfortably full, they were like, "Oh man, wind's getting real fucked up," and Winnie just had like regular motion sickness, and I probably also had a base level of motion sickness, and we just sat next to each other trying not to vomit this whole time when everyone else was like, "Isn't this fun?" The wind in your face, and I didn't tell anyone that like I made it worse for myself by like doing that.
There's nothing like it. Having a pound of mozzarella cheese in your gut, getting whooshed back and forth at unpredictable speeds.
I remember distinctly thinking like I was standing and eating as like the boat rocked beneath me, and I like literally thinking like this is technically a new experience. I have never done this. I've never eaten pizza standing on a boat.
That's pretty bad. I think a more sort of representative deep dish pizza experience that like a real Chicagoan has is what happened to us and James Medley, when he did his guest appearance on Sickos. And this was back when we used to record in his studio from time to time. So we recorded with him in a studio that's sort of, which is a little bit closer to the center of the city than we usually are at. And we had finished recording. We were all starving. And we're like, what's close is Pequod's, which is a really great deep dish pizza place. It has some tasty tasty pies. And we were like, it's like 10. Let's go to Pequod's. And we walk over there, and we walk up to the little lectern. We walk up to the fucking host stand, and we say, three strapping lads for a pizza pie, please. And they say, that'll be 90 minutes. And we say, fuck that, and went and ate sushi.
Yeah, just spat in our face.
Yeah. This fucking Chicago party ain't shit. I saw people asking us on Twitter, like, hey, Chicago folks, is this accurate? Well, I'll tell you whether or not it's accurate. One thing that I've noted as a truth of Chicago is that there are funny people who live in it, and every once in a while they'll open their mouths and have good jokes come out. So, in that sense, no, the show is not accurate.
But funny people do try to leave here and then go to the other coast. That's very true.
This is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But there are some sort of like medium to a bit above average funny people like us who don't.
Yeah, a townie who yells.
Yeah,
is what you're aiming for, and which I'm happy to be. Like I can't leave Cook County too long. I start to disappear.
You go back to the future mode.
I'm attuned with the land. It's fine.
Joe, can I talk about Real, the manga Real, for a while?
Yeah, there's no power levels in that one, so it's not part of my purview, but tell me a little bit more about it. My understanding, it's about three fellas.
It is about three fellas, Joe. So just a little brief disclaimer before I get into this. Like, what I'm about to say is something that usually I would save for the newsletter, which you can subscribe to at animesickos.substack.com, which is to say, like, a unjoking rave review of something that, like, Joe didn't fucking read, so he doesn't have anything to say. But, like, this shit is so good that, like, I didn't want to relegate it to the newsletter. This is on the fucking main show. I got to talk about Real on the main show. Real is by Takahiko Inoue, who you may know from the incredibly popular best-selling basketball manga Slam Dunk from the 90s, or from the incredibly critically acclaimed series Vagabond about the life of Japanese swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. Both of those fucking manga are big hits, well-known, critically lauded. Everyone loves them. He also has a third manga that my entire conception of it was it's the wheelchair basketball manga. So I'm like, yeah, this guy writes about basketball before. He obviously really likes basketball. And he must think that wheelchair basketball is interesting. So he wrote another basketball manga, except all the players are in wheelchairs. That's what Real must be. Fucking no, Joe. So you were right that this is about three fellas. What this shit is really about, like the actual plot of Real, is wheelchair basketball is not fucking important. Like, it would be to call it like the wheelchair basketball manga. It's like saying that like Parasite is about houses. Like, it's not like it's in houses. Houses are important, but like that's not what it's about. What Real is about is what it means to become real. What it means to be who you really are. And this is something that is a big theme of Vagabond. You know, Miyamoto Musashi wants to become the greatest swordsman in the world. He is like a sort of semi-mythical figure in Japanese history, as like the greatest swordsman, the best at fucking katana. And
yeah, he's really good. Like, he doesn't even use a metal one for like a huge he's killing people with a stick.
Yeah, and like part of the fucking manga is that he starts out and he's like sort of basically like a feral man. He's an ape man.
Raised by the Mountain is like a fun trope that I love to see.
Yeah, and he's like freakishly strong and good at sword, and he wants to be the best. And a big part of that is he needs to learn what it means to be strong, and it's not what he thought as a feral mountain man. He has to actually think about who he is and like what it means to use violence and what that says about himself and in what way a strong person does use violence. And it's part of why it's so lauded is because Inoue is incredibly good at that kind of writing, that kind of character writing.
But also the fights are cool as fuck.
Yeah. So what Real does is Real is just taking that character writing and straight up making it into probably the best manga I've ever read. I cannot think of anything that I can easily say is better than this. It is like not only one of the best manga I've ever read, it's like one of the best pieces of writing I have. Like I was blown away. Like I knew Vagabond was good. I had read a lot of Vagabond, but Real is a step beyond that, and I was honestly blown away. So Joe, here's what the story's about. The story's about these three guys. First one of them is Nomiya, who is this sort of he's just got expelled from high school, and he's just a fuck up. Like he just can't do anything right. He doesn't really have any friends at high school. Everyone thinks he's an idiot. Very few people respect him. A few people that he is friends with get bullied on account of being friends with him. He was on the basketball team, and he's sort of, pretty good at basketball. He's really into it. He's like passionate about the game itself. But the captain of the basketball team, Takahashi, is a fucking absolute asshole who's very cruel and is obsessed with status, and he thinks of Nomiya as a low status man. So he doesn't give him any fucking respect and never passes him the ball, and wouldn't you know it, he's just fucking naturally gifted at basketball, so he's better than him anyway. So Nomiya starts off, he's fucking expelled from high school for fighting, and his whole arc is that he doesn't fucking know what he's going to do with his life. He has no idea who he is, how things going to work out for him. And at the start of the series, he's also racked with guilt because he is just in his sort of delinquent catting around town. He was on a moped, and he's like, hey, baby, to some girl that he wanted to hang out with, like, hey, baby, ride on my moped. And she's like, okay. And they got in an accident. She fucking got paralyzed, and he feels like shit, and he doesn't know what to do with his life. And so Nomiya is fucking incredible. And part of this, part of the reason that it's not a fucking wheelchair basketball manga is that he's like the first character we meet and a third of the main cast, and he's totally able-bodied, and he never gets injured. Like, he never plays wheelchair basketball, because why would he? Fuck. Oh, God. And then he meets... He hears in a gym, he hears basketball being played, and he's like, I'm going to go check that out. And he meets Tagawa, who is fucking disabled. He's in a wheelchair, and he's playing wheelchair basketball. And he's like, oh, I thought someone was playing basketball here. He's like, I am playing basketball here. What are you fucking talking about? And he's like, let's do one-on-one. And fucking Tagawa smokes him, and he's like, oh my God, you kick ass. They start a little duo where they hustle people in the park. It's like, let's play 2-on-2. And it's like, well, you fucking guys in a wheelchair. We're going to win for sure. And they smoke the guys, and they get money. But okay. Let's go on to Tagawa. Tagawa's an incredible character. He's amazing. Because he is one of the three main characters, and he's the only one who's basically like a sports manga protagonist in the way that a normal sports manga protagonist is, when they're like, they want to be the best, they're obsessed with the game, they're always training, they want to get better. But the sports manga that he is in is a sprinting manga. His whole backstory is that he was like a preternaturally gifted sprinter, and loved it. It was his entire reason for being. He wanted to be fastest under the heavens. He was Miyamoto Musashi. He wanted to be the best at all costs, and he was going to be the best. And then, oopsie, in the middle of junior high, it's discovered that he has bone cancer, and he has to have his leg amputated. He actually has a thing that I didn't know was a real thing that could happen, which is he had his leg amputated at the knee, but his foot was sort of unaffected by the bone cancer. So what they can do is they can actually keep the foot and like spin it around and reattach it at the knee joint, so it can, like, your knee joint can bend, and like your foot acts as a sort of vestigial shin, which you can put a prosthetic on, and then the prosthetic bends at the knee at your command, which offers you a lot more range of motion than if you just straight up had your leg cut off at the knee. So he initially, there's a panel of this where he's at like his big fucking meet where he's going to break 11 seconds. He's been training to break 11 seconds on the 100-meter dash. And there's a panel where it's just, it visualizes how he feels about it, which is he's running, and then all of a sudden he looks back and his leg is just gone. And a few paces back, his foot is like stuck in the track, and his knee is just ripped off, and it's just standing there. And it's because, like, this whole time that he's been going through this backstory, he's been like, sometimes my leg is sore, and it's like, you're just training too much. No, it was bone cancer. That's why his leg was getting sore. And, like, it would getting worse and worse, but he's like, I can't tell anyone because they're going to tell me I can't run in the race and I need to break 11 seconds. So he becomes absolutely black-pilled. There's a big, long thing where he meets a bunch of people he meets wheelchair basketball players who are, like, comfortable with themselves. One of them is, like, a big swinging dick, like, guy who has a bunch of groupies and, like, does tattoos and is super cool. And he's like, holy shit, people can be cool in wheelchairs? And he is the founder of this wheelchair basketball team that he joins. And also one of the original members is Yama, who's this guy who takes the time to, at this point, Tagawa, the guy with the foot on his knee, he's still sort of, like, miserable. He's still in that sort of dark, black-pilled place of, like, everything that I was taken from me. And Yama takes him out for dinner, and he's like, hey, so, like, I understand that you're, like, feeling really down, but, like, I think that this would be a good place for you to, you know, come and play basketball with us. And he's like, but it's not, like, a real sport. Like, I don't know. I'm a real athlete. Like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, like, you got to understand, like, you can't live like this for the rest of your life. Like, for example, take me, I didn't get an injury that put me in this chair. I have a degenerative disease, and I'm only going to get worse. But, like, I understand that, like, what life I have is precious, and, like, it's really important to me that what little I have, I use to the best of my ability. And Tagawa was like, wow, you've really touched me. I mean, it's more than that. I'm going through it really fucking fast. Oh, man, Yama kicks ass because later on, much later on, like, Tagawa goes to visit Yama, like, before one of their team's big, you know, games. And by this point, Yama's been retired from the team for a long time because he doesn't have enough range of motion to, like, be on the team anymore. And he goes to see him, and he's like, he looks terrible. He's nearing death. He has very little motion, almost none at all. And he's just, like, black-pilled completely. He's just like, what was my fucking life for? I didn't get to do anything. Like, I'm going to die at 20 years old. What did I do to deserve this? Like, why was I even born? And Tagawa has no fucking idea what to say. And he's just like, because, like, this person, in his mind, he was the person who got him out of that dark place. And now he's like, what am I fucking going to do? And, oh, man, right before he goes out on the court, he sends Yama a message. And he's like, Yama, there's nothing I can do or say to you that's going to change the facts. I just need to let you know, like, you were my hero and you always will be. And, man, that panel where Yama gets that text is one of the best fucking things I've ever seen. Oh, my God. And now I'm going to get to the third protagonist, who I think this is the best written of the three. I mean, they're all incredible. They all have such amazing arcs where they have to, like, figure out who they are. Like, Nomiya doesn't have any idea who he is, and he has to, like, who is he really? What really is he? Because he's very emotionally intelligent. He's so empathetic. Like, he wants to make it up to this girl that he caused her to get in this accident that made her lose the use of her legs. And he goes and he visits her in the hospital again and again. And he's like, hey, I know you don't want to see me. And I know that I'm doing this for me. But, like, I hope that you understand why I'm doing that. And that, like, this is hard for me to do as well. And I know that's not going to make this, you know, automatically a great experience for you. But, like, I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. And if you really don't want me to come, I won't. And, like, they eventually strike up a friendship, and it's, like, really sweet. And he's such good friends with Tagawa, and he's such a huge uncritical booster of the team. He immediately, like, loves them all. He wants to practice with them all the time. Eventually he thinks that, like, his path, you know, who am I really? My path is I will devote myself to basketball. The only time I've ever been happy is on the court. The only time I felt like I'm not a fuck up is on the court. And so he sees that, you know, a local Japanese pro team is having tryouts, and Japanese pro basketball is not that popular. It's not that fucking lucrative, but he's like, I could do this. You know, I am good. And one thing that I am really great at is, as a point guard, my sort of empathy and understanding of the other players on my team allows me to, like, act as a catalyst where I bring the whole team together as a unit. I don't care about my stats. I don't care about showboating. I'm going to bring everyone together. And he works for, like, a month straight doing all the sports manga protagonist shit, and he gets to the fucking tryouts and he's just not that good. Like, he catches the eye of the coach, who's like, he's really got something, but, like, he's an amateur who's got a knack for understanding his teammates, but he's an amateur. And it's like, what does he do after that? Like, what does it mean if that's his dream gone? Like, who is he then? And similarly, the Tagawa needs to find out who he really is, because he thinks that he is Miyamoto Musashi. He thinks that he has to be fastest under the heavens, but he's finding himself, he's doing a team sport with people who aren't fucking like they don't want to be pro athletes. They're in wheelchairs, and like they will often like get in his face when he's like, no, you have to be better. Why didn't you catch that pass? And they're like, we're doing this for fun, dude. We're in wheelchairs. We're never going to make money off of this. And no one's ever going to care about any of our games. The best case scenario is we get on like the local news as like, can you believe it? These wheelchair people are doing a game. Isn't that cute? And he has to like come to terms with what does it mean for me to be an athlete? Like in this situation, like, can I be an athlete? Like how is that going to work, especially in a team setting? And so the final fucking protagonist, I was going to get to it, and now I am. This is the best one. So I mentioned briefly that there was the bully asshole fucking captain of the basketball team, Takahashi. Turns out he's the third main character, because about 2 or 3 volumes in, he gets hit by a fucking bus and gets his back broken, and he's paralyzed from the fucking
I feel like
waist down.
My only critique so far is they're leaning a little bit on that as a plot device.
Well, it's a very good plot device to get to this sort of character writing that he's trying to do, because part of becoming disabled is a lot of the things that that one can use to construct an identity that is not genuine are taken from you when you are disabled. So this guy, he is basically no one. He is just a bully, and he's getting by on his natural skill and attractiveness. He has girls hanging off of him because he's hot, and he's the captain of the basketball team because he just happens to fucking naturally be good at basketball. He doesn't really try that hard, and because he's the captain of the basketball team, he's popular. And because he's popular and isn't trying and isn't thinking about his life, he's very cruel to everyone. And when he fucking when he wakes up in the hospital and realizes what's happening to him, he's like, oh, I'm like, you don't understand, like, I'm like really good at stuff, and like I always succeed, so like I'm going to do rehab like really well, and I know you said I would never walk again, but like I'm gonna, like, I hear that sometimes people say that and they end up walking again, so like that's gonna be me. And the doctor's like, oh no, like, do you see how broken your 7th vertebrae is? Like, you are never going to walk again. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm gonna. And, man, this whole time, fucking Nobi is not disabled. Togawa is struggling with who he is, but he's not struggling with that part of himself. Like, the part where he's like, well, you know, what is my body? I don't feel like this is my own body. That part's in his past. He's accepted that about himself, and it's not actually a problem for him that he is disabled. And even disabled is not really the right word, because like when he has his prosthetic, like he can fucking walk. Like when he has his prosthetic on, he can walk normally. He takes his prosthetic off and is in a wheelchair for the basketball. Fucking Takahashi, like, he plunges into fucking hell. It is some of the bleakest, most harrowing writing, because he's just like, he refuses to believe that this is what's happening to him, because he knows that if he admits it, that he's no one now. Like, he will never be popular again. All of his friends will leave him, and they fucking do. His one thing, I'm the basketball captain, he'll never be basketball captain again. Who is he? Once he sort of realizes what's happening, he like fucking gives up. Like he gets to his first day of rehab, where like what he's supposed to do is just sit on the ground and lift himself up from the ground to a little platform that's like a foot above the ground, with his arms. And he's like, awesome, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna kick ass at rehab. And he can't fucking do it once. Because, like, how could he? Because, like, people aren't used to using their full upper body strength to move their entire body with no help from their legs. And also, your fucking bottom half of your body is doing a lot of unconscious balancing that you're not aware of. And you can't move the fucking bottom half of your body. You fucking flop over a lot. And he can't, so he's, at this point, he's just like, I don't want to live. Like, I'm not me anymore, and I don't want to live. And at this point, Nomiya, I mentioned how he was a very empathetic person, despite being a dumbass fuck-up delinquent. He realizes that, like, he's hurt a lot of people in his past, and he wants to go apologize to all of them. And one of them is Takahashi, because when he got expelled, he, like, punched him in the gut as he was leaving. And he's like, I punched Takahashi in the gut. I should go say sorry. And he learns he's in the hospital, and he's like, okay. And he goes to the hospital, and he sees, you know, for the first time that Takahashi's been in this accident and is paralyzed now, because he didn't know. And he's been hanging out with Tagawa for a long time, so he knows what it means to, like, go through this rehab and what it means to, like, lose your mobility and have to rebuild yourself. And he learns this, and the doctor's like, yeah, he's going to start rehab, or maybe he's just started it, and he's like, he's going to build up to, you know, whatever level of mobility he can get to. And Nomiya just says, like, oh, you don't have what it takes. And it's... oh, like, that's such a good fucking scene, because Takahashi's like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, how dare you say that to me? Like, don't you know... Like, I'm fucking Takahashi. I'm the captain of the basketball team. I'm better at basketball than you. And he's like, yeah, but I know what it takes to get past this, and you don't have it. Because what it takes is to be a real person, to understand that you're not just your body, you're not just what you can and can't do. That despite it all, despite, you know, losing so much of yourself, that you still are a real person, and you are able to use that as, like, the core that pushes you forward into the rest of your life. And he's like, oh, you don't have that. So you're going to fucking fail. And Takahashi is furious at this, obviously. But, like, as it goes on, he starts to realize, like, how honestly kind Nomiya was to do that. Because, one, he's the only person who fucking visits him. And two, like, he's right. And he needs to accept that in order to break through. Like, and eventually, like, he sees that there's this nerd, like, there's like an absolutely insufferable nerd who says, like, methinks that le rehab is quite tiring. Like, he's not a funny nerd, he, like, actually sucks. Who is also in the fucking rehab facility, and he, even though he's like a scrawny little asshole who Takahashi hates, he can get up and down from the platform 5 times from the left and the right every day, and he can't get up there once. And he's like, at first, he fucking hates this guy. And eventually, the more they get to know each other, and eventually, like, his father comes back into the picture, because, like, Takahashi's father abandoned them because he was overworked. And this is another example of not being real. Like, he was into the fucking Japanese work culture, and he was just constantly working, and he eventually got to a point where he just left. Like, he left the family because, like, I can't be this anymore. This isn't what I want my life to be. And eventually he comes back into the picture after Takahashi gets his injury, and he's like, hi, Takahashi, I hope you want to, you know, make me part of your life again, and understand if you don't. And, like, he now lives in a fucking little hut in the country, and he makes pottery for his shop. He's not even really, like, that successful. And so Takahashi initially is like, God, my dad fucking sucks. He's this asshole. He has no fire. He's not good at anything. He lives in poverty. Like, this like, he can't let go of this status. Like, everything is about status. And, like, eventually he has to understand that it's about being a real person. His dad has become a real person. The dad knows, like, you shouldn't forgive me. What I did was unforgivable, and I don't think that we'll ever have a relationship like what we did have, but, like, maybe we can have something. And he comes to become friends with the nerd, and then, like, a heel wrestler gets an injury and comes to the rehab center, and they all become, like, the 3 homies. And, like, it takes a long fucking time. Like, this entire time...
Yeah, how many volumes are we talking about this thing? Like, how many pages?
There's 14 volumes currently out. Inoue, if you know anything about him as a mangaka, he hates drawing manga and never does it, which is why it's so incredibly rare that volume 15 is coming out in a couple of months. Man, there's a point, I think it's in volume 14, where fucking Takahashi shows up to a practice in his wheelchair, and he's like, hey, can I join the team? And, like, that is a panel that hits as hard as, like, Luffy punching the bad guy that he's been trying to punch for 100 chapters. Because, like, what that represents in terms of his growth, in terms of his ability to, like, love himself again, love himself for the first time, is, like, it is a fucking masterpiece. One of the best pieces of writing and just art of any kind that you could ever read. It is, I straight up cannot recommend Real enough. It is the best.
So this sounds really good. Everything we've ever recommended on this show is obviously also insanely hard to get. So is this also hard to get?
Joe, here's I'm about to do one of the few turns in Anime Sickos that actually is good news. It was, but the officially translated English volumes that actually have a good translation were made into officially digital volumes for the first time this year. This manga started publication in fucking 1999, and they just got around to making digital fucking editions of the volumes. So you can download them.
No rush.
They're so good. I love Real, and I love these three guys. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. 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 Holy shit, I finally exorcised the demon from my body and spoken about Real at length.
I was just thinking about the really good Plum sketch I wrote. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, that was a good sketch, dude. Fuck. Anyway, I think that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. There's nothing left.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko. I'm saying
Tom.
in the wrong order.
Yeah, I'm Tom and Anime. I was throwing to you in case you had like a riff. I guess not. I'm Tom and Anime Sicko. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.